Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of Hawaii. We are back in the Aloha State. Finally, guys, we got new property. As you can see from the headline here, this is a very enviable piece of land. It's got power, it's got paved road access, it's got water service, and most notably, it is blocks, mere blocks from the Pacific Ocean. Now, I will tell you guys, we've actually got not one, not two, but three properties going live in this subdivision this weekend. I will tell you that they are all the same amount of acreage, same price point, and they are really one or two blocks apart from one another. So they boast all of the same features. Because of that, I'm going to make this one video. I'm going to post it on all three listing pages. And I will tell you that if you're a serious buyer, if you're really interested in buying land out here, and you want to compare and contrast these three lots and figure out which works best for you, the best way to do it is just going to be here under the property specific notes. Each of these will be tailored to the, yes, you guessed it, specific property. Additionally, down here on the table, the legal information, most notably the GPS coordinates, will be property specific. And down here in the photo gallery, we've got a lot of photos from around the community, but the property specific photos that wind out the gallery, those are going to be from the lots themselves. So if you do want to get a better sense of which one works best for you, those will be the best ways to do it. With all that said, guys, we're going to review this one property in this video, and as noted earlier, pretty much all the details are going to pertain to all three properties. So, with all that said, let's get to it. This specific property is reference number HI-14888, located in Hawaii County, aka the Big Island. More specifically, it is in the Puna District, and more specifically still, it is in the Hawaiian Beaches Subdivision. Should be noted, guys, that each of these properties is 0.28 acres. Let me be clear, people, because others have been confused in the past. This is not a 28-acre property. This is 0.28. That means it is a scooch more than 1/4 of 1 acre in size. I will tell you that every property in this subdivision is basically chopped up that way, so you're not really going to find any land out here that is markedly larger than that, okay? And of course, as you saw up top, each of these 0.28 acre properties is priced at $25,000, which is around market value for this region. Anyway, with all that said, we're going to pull this one up on the map. You can do this on any of the listing pages by coming down here, clicking any of these GPS coordinates, and up on Google Maps shall appear the state of Hawaii. For those of you not intimately familiar with the geography out here, this is the Big Island. And if we zoom in on this, you will know that there are 9 districts out here. This property sits in the Puna District, which occupies roughly this part of the island over here in the east. As we zoom in even further, you can see that this property sits right outside the village of Pahoa. Additionally, it is within close proximity not only to Pahoa, but also to Kiau up here, roughly about a 25-minute drive, and Hilo up here, of course, the population center of the island, about a 40-minute drive from the subject property. Some other notable features of this region, of course, down here, the Kalapana night markets are over here, the Kehana Black Sand Beach up here along the 137, along the, we'll call it southeastern coastline of the island, and over here, the Poihoiki Black Sand Beach, just close by to the subject property. Now, let's zoom in a little bit here on this subdivision. So everything that you see carved out here on the map, I would like to tell you that this whole thing is the Hawaiian Beaches subdivision. It doesn't exactly break down that way. You've got 2 subs out here, and I will discuss these a little bit later. But the one is the Hawaiian Shores Recreation Estates that, from what I can tell, seems to occupy the southern end of the subdivision, everything south of Kahaki Boulevard over here, and everything north of Kahaki Boulevard is the Hawaiian Beaches subdivision. The distinctions between those two will be discussed in just a minute. Whatever the case, the property out here has power at the lot line. It's got paved road access. You've got all the utilities in the region, high-speed internet, cable, phone, so on and so forth. Postal service to each individual lot, and don't bury the headline, Hemingway. The properties sit in very close proximity to the Pacific Ocean. How close? Well, guys, if we right-click and measure distance, you can see that this one is roughly a scooch more than 1 mile from the Pacific Ocean. The other properties are just about 1 mile from the Pacific Ocean. They're about 2 blocks up. Whatever the case, the coastline is very close over here, within walking or bike riding distance. Take the bike out there every day. You can enjoy the sunrises. You can enjoy some picnics, some dog walking, so on and so forth. I'll also point out, guys, that in close proximity to each of these properties is the Hawaiian Beaches Park just over here. Now, With all that said, I'm going to segue over to the photo gallery, guys, because I kind of want to walk you through some of the geography out here, just so you get a sense of the region that you might be buying land in. So this out here is Highway 130. It sits really right here. If we pull back a little bit, you can kind of see it. Highway 130 right out here, just right outside the entrance to the subdivision. And as we go through these photos, we've got some of them annotated. This, of course, is the farmer's market that sits very close by in nearby Pahoa. You can see what that is like, happening event out there. Additionally, in close proximity to the property, you've got the Malama Market, located 5 miles from the subject property. Additionally, guys, you've also got the Punakai Shopping Center. This is newly built out here. They have things you can't find anywhere else, like a Pizza Hut and an O'Reilly Tire. That's a joke. Anyway, going through this, guys, you can see what the storefronts are like out here. Point being, easy access to groceries and shopping in this district. Gas station right by the entrance to the subdivision. Additionally, you got a hardware store out here, Ace True Value Hardware, 5 miles from the property. If you purchase any one of these lots, you're going to be building on it. You need some hammers, you need some nails, you need some plywood. This is going to be the place to go, and it is none too far away. Additionally, as we go through these, guys, you can see there's also Long's Drug just right at the entrance to the subdivision. These are some of the roads out here. This, of course, is Highway 130, and this is the turnoff here to the Kahaki Boulevard, the entrance to the subdivision. We've got some photos here from this entrance. This is a bit of a kind of a long winding road that leads in to the subdivision from Pahoa out here, but the photos that I'm showing you now are of the entrance in. As you can see from this, you've got some lush environment out here and all utilities really servicing this region. This is the elementary school that sits at the entrance to the subdivision, just over here. You can see it on the map right here. So, of course, if you do build out here and you've got kids, you are none too far from the nearest elementary school. So even if they're running late in the morning, you're going to be able to get them there on time. As we go through the photos further, again, you see lush environment, really well-maintained, well-kept little suburban community out here, utilities everywhere, etc. And furthermore, as we go through these, guys, we've got some images here. This is Da Store. Photos I was showing you earlier were from Pahoa, were sort of the shopping little area out there in Pahoa. This is from a little convenience store that exists in the subdivision, really right up here on the map, really just within about 1.5 miles of the subject properties. So a little convenience store. They've got some amenities out here, any kind of groceries or supplies you can need. Maybe you can pick them up there. And as we go further, guys, you can see exactly what this region is like. This is the Hawaiian Beaches Park that I was pointing out earlier on the map. This sits really within 1 or 2 blocks of all of these properties. And on this, you're going to have access to the basketball courts out here. There's also a baseball diamond kind of in this area, which you can't see in the photo. I will tell you also that on Google Maps, it says that the volunteer fire station is out here on this property. It doesn't look like it, so take that with a grain of salt. But supposedly the Hawaiian Beaches Volunteer Fire Department is in this region. Anyway, as we go through this, this is Kahaki Park. Now, I just want to point out to you guys on the map, this is, as we talk about the coastline, as we talk about how close these properties sit to the Pacific Ocean out here, this is where this Kahaki Park is. Now, I want to give you guys a realistic sense. The ocean that's out here, the shoreline that you have out here, this is not necessarily beach, okay? This is not necessarily where you go surfing. There are other and better places for that on this island and within pretty close proximity of this subdivision. That being said, this is the coastline, this is the shore out here, kind of rocky cliffs, etc. But from this park out here is where you can enjoy the views, where you can take the dogs out for a walk, where you can go picnicking, watch the sunrises. I would like to tell you can watch the sunsets, but this is the eastern end of the island, so maybe you can only catch a kind of fleeting glimpse of those. Whatever the case, these are the views from this region. I mean, this is what sunset looks like, so this is not bad, right? Anyway, but as you can see, a pretty lush area right here with some really nice views. And this is the coastline out here. Anyway, guys, as you go through the photo gallery, once you hit this photo, this is the last of the kind of community photos. But once you go past that, that's when you're going to get into the property-specific photos on each of these pages. And we have these marked down here just to give you a sense of the geography, a sense of where exactly you are. This specific property that we're talking about today sits off Manalo Street. So this is the turnoff here from the Punakai Loop to Manalo Street. And this is exactly what this region looks like. So when we talk about paved roads, number one, the first thing that jumps out at me is these are some very well-maintained paved roads. This is not the kind where you're kicking up gravel as you drive on the thing. Additionally, as you can see, everybody's got a mailbox out here, postal service to each of the properties. You've got utilities in this region, power lines, phone line, cable, high-speed internet, etc. And of course, as you go through these, you can also see, well, more of that. But most notably, guys, what I want to point out here in the photo gallery are the water meters that exist on the property. Yes, as I noted in the headline earlier, each of these properties comes with the Hawaiian Beaches community has a Hawaiian Beaches, water company that services the region that will come out here, that will hook you up for, I believe it's about $1,500 is the installation cost, but they will get water going to your property. A lot of the properties that we have featured in the past in this region, generally speaking, have to use rainwater catchment tanks to get drinking water, bathing water to the property. That is not the case in this subdivision. And furthermore, as we go through the properties, we've got some photos not only of the vegetation out here. The specific property that we're looking at today has actually a mature avocado tree on it with avocados, guys. And as we say down here in the caption, avocados free with purchase of property. Excellent source of healthy fats right there on the land. But the other big takeaway from the property-specific photos that we have here is what some of the neighboring home sites look like. There's a lot of times where we buy properties in some of these regions and the neighbors' houses don't look so great. This one, these, and this one all look like pretty respectable properties. As noted earlier, this is a pretty well-kept suburban community. My understanding is that there's a lot of retirees out here. And as you can see, this is not the kind of thing where your neighbors are cooking meth on the lot next to you. These are all pretty well-constructed homes. Looks like you got some pretty respectable neighbors out here. So this is the neighborhood that you would be moving into. And finally, guys, we've got the drone overhead shots giving you a good sense of the footprint of the property. Of course, there's a lot of vegetation on the land. If you're going to build out here, obviously you're going to have to do some landscaping. You're going to have to get somebody in there to doze the lot. Hopefully you'll be able to preserve the avocado tree on this specific property. But yeah, obviously you're going to have to knock down some trees to build out here, as all of the neighbors no doubt have. By the way, guys, with these photos, you can see not only the neighboring home sites, but you can see that this property sits in very close proximity to the park that I was referencing earlier with the aforementioned baseball diamond. Blah, blah, blah. And finally, we wind up the photo gallery here with some shots of the nearby ocean. You can see exactly how close that is to the subject property and exactly how pretty it is in this region. Now, with all that said, guys, let's talk about zoning. Let's talk about some of the really nice features of this property. So up here under property specific notes, we have some notation about this. As noted, this property exists in the Hawaiian Beaches subdivision. And generally speaking, when you have a named subdivision, typically you're going to have an HOA, you're going to have some kind of community association out there. This one, however, does not have that. There are no recorded covenants. There are no recorded restrictions. There's no HOA and there's no annual dues. Additionally, this property sits in a region in which the roads are county maintained. So unlike a lot of subdivisions that we've listed property in the past, you're not going to have to worry about road maintenance fees. The annual taxes out here are $200 for the lot. So you're not going to have to worry about anything more than an annual tax bill of $200. Now, earlier I was talking about the two different subdivisions out here. And just to give you a sense of this, and then I'll get back to zoning a little bit. The subdivision that exists over here on what I'm calling the south end of, the loop here, we'll say. This subdivision has an HOA. It actually has pretty strict covenants and restrictions. They have an architectural control committee, and they have $350 a year in annual dues. Those are the properties sitting to the south of Kahaki Boulevard. To the north over here, this Hawaiian Beaches subdivision has none of that. I'm not exactly sure how you can have two subdivisions sitting in close proximity to one another and have one with so many more restrictions than the other, but that is the case. That's what exists out here. Now, additionally, guys, I will caution you. If you're looking at this property and you just heard me talk about how there's no covenants and no restrictions and no HOA and blah, 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 I don't want you to take that to mean, hey, I can do anything I want out here. Because when I see a region like this, number one, that's this kind of densely developed. Number two, that has really nice home sites like what we saw. Respectable looking home sites, okay? And number three, when property values are as high as what they are in this region, my suspicion is there are some zoning restrictions here that I was simply not able to learn about in my reading and in my research. So I will tell you guys that if you have really specific plans, if you want to do anything other than build a single family residence out here, if you're talking about shipping containers, if you're talking about Shipping container, my guess is it's probably acceptable out here. There's probably permits for that. Yurts, probably not. RV living, most definitely not. Okay. The best thing you can do in regions like this is just kind of eyeball what have the neighbors done. Whatever they've done is most likely what you will certainly be able to do, and it gives you a sense of probably what you can and cannot do. There may be restrictions on height of a structure out here. I'm not sure if this is some kind of secondary structure on the land, or if this is like a tiny house or something they have built. I don't know. But the point is, guys, my best advice to anybody who's going to spend this kind of money, whether it be with us or with any other realtor or land seller, do some investigating. Call the county. Talk to the zoning people. Find out, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Is it acceptable in this region? Again, if the house is something like this, very likely they're not going to have any objections. But if you have anything really specific or really unconventional that you want to do, it's always best to reach out. These, this lack of covenants, this lack of restrictions, lack of an HOA, normally that means anything goes. But in an area like this where property values are this high, I fail to believe that. Okay. So that's the first thing I want to point out to you guys. The second thing I want to point out is, as noted earlier, there's the Hawaiian Beaches Water Company that services this region. This bullet point on each of the listing pages deals with that, and we have a link specifically to their website. Now, just a quick thing, guys. Helco, the Hawaiian Electric Company, that's going to be the entity that brings power to the property out here. That's the entity that's servicing all the home sites in this region. If you have questions about connecting to them, about what that costs, about what it costs to get power from the lot line to a home site, it's best to, reach out to them, talk to them about logistics and about cost. My guess is it's not too difficult. But as far as the application project for Hawaiian Beaches Water Company, we've linked to this specific page where you can look at the water service application and the new water service installation application. If I click on one of these just to kind of bring it up, you can see what this application looks like. And again, I believe it's a $1,500 installation cost out here. That's what I got from their website. But, here we go. Under rates, it's going to say it. Where is it at? $1,500 new service connection. Okay, so that's probably what it is. But again, might want to reach out, talk to them. My guess is if you're spending $25,000 on a piece of property to build a home, whether it's $1,500 or $2,000 is not going to matter much to you. Anyway, with all that said, guys, this is a property. All three of these properties are ones that we had insured through Title Guarantee of Hawaii. We got title insurance on all of these, so we're going to be providing a warranty deed for you with all of these properties. If you are interested in purchasing one or more of these guys, just come up here, click the Buy Now button. It's going to bring up this secure checkout. Now, let me talk about the way that this works, okay? Because there's a lot of people who don't get this far in the video, and they certainly don't listen when I tell them about it. We ask for a $500 deposit. This is a $25,000 property. I don't anticipate you've got a credit card you can charge that much on. I don't anticipate you want to give that much money to a stranger on the internet, okay? So what we recommend when we get into this price range is let's close through a title company. Let's bring in a third-party intermediary who's going to handle both the drawing up of the conveyance documents and the recording of those documents, as well as the disbursement of your funds. So the benefit here, guys, is that you're going to give your money to the title company, and they're not going to give it to us until such a time as the property is in your name. Additionally, if this is a property you're going to build on, and I imagine it is, whether it's for your own home or as an Airbnb, you're going to need title insurance. No lender is going to lend on a property that doesn't have title insurance. So that's the other benefit to you of getting title insurance. So the way we kick off this process, guys, is you come over here, you put down this non-refundable, let me say it again, non-refundable earnest money deposit, $500. You give us the name for the deed, marital status, all the things we need in Hawaii to convey a property. And we're going to ask you one final question here. How do you want to fund and close on this property? Some people, despite what I've just said, will want to do it with a credit card. If that's the case, we're going to pay all the closing costs. If you want to close through title and escrow, you, the buyer, are going to pay the closing costs, okay? And, of course, we also have that third option there. I need more information before I decide. If that's the case, we'll call you up. We'll talk to you about that. Whatever the case, you agree to the terms of service, click Next, and on the next page, you're going to enter credit or debit card information to put down that $500 deposit. Now, guys, if you want to learn more about this, we got a page on our website. It's called How It Works Buying From Us. Down here on this page is this step right here. Type of closing recommended, title and escrow. Anything in this price point north of $10,000, this is what we recommend. And the way that this process works is you put down $500. We're going to draft a sale purchase agreement. We sign it, you sign it, we submit it to the title company, and the title company does the rest. Usually in about 30 to 45 days, they're going to contact you for the remainder of the money. They're going to contact us about signing a new deed, okay? And if you want to get a sense of exactly what you're going to be asked to sign in advance, just click this link right here. It's going to bring up this sale purchase agreement. This is a kind of generic version of one of our standard contracts. As you can see, very easy to understand. It's one page for signatures. Title company's not going to do anything without the contract, and we don't draft the contracts until we have the earnest money deposit. Okay, guys? So once you put down the $500, we get that process rolling that way. With all that said, guys, I hope you like these properties as much as I do. Again, this is a really nice region. This Hawaiian Beaches subdivision is one we haven't purchased in before, simply because it costs a lot more to buy land out here. Obviously, it's a more expensive property, but as you can tell, both from the location as well as the amenities, it's a more expensive property for a region. This is a subdivision that really merits the price point that you're buying in out here. So if you're looking to build a vacation home or a retirement home for yourself, or even just, again, like I mentioned earlier, an Airbnb property, I think this is a great part of the island to do it in. Very close to Hilo, very close to that population center. Of course, a lot to do out there. And it's Hawaii. It's gorgeous, All right, guys, with all that said, if you have any questions, shoot us an email, support@hemingwayland.com, or leave a comment here on the YouTube. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you like these properties as much as I do, and we'll see you in the next video.